Welcome to Simplilearn. My name is Richard Kirshner with the Simplilearn team. That is www.simplilearn.com. Get certified, get ahead. In this video, we're going to take a look at speech recognition. What's in it for you? We're going to cover what is speech recognition, how does speech recognition work, picking and installing a speech recognition package, working with audio files, working with microphone, and then we'll have some demos. What is speech recognition? Speech recognition incorporates the field of computer science and linguistics to identify spoken words and convert them to text. It allows computers to understand human language. And you can see here a simple UML diagram where we have the person with their microphone. They're talking to the microphone and it converts it into some kind of recognizable either text or reads it back. There's all kinds of things we can do. And this is such an exploding area in data science right now. How does speech recognition work? Speech is first converted from physical sound to electrical energy using a microphone, and then to digital data using an analog to digital converter. This digital data can be converted to text using algorithms like neural networks or hidden Markov models. If you don't understand this, this is pretty common nowadays when we're talking about any of our computer and data science. We really do have this whole setup where we want to convert things into a digital data. Computers handle 0 and 1s very well. They handle the numbers. And we can then do a lot of work on that, whether it's speech, audio, video, other data that comes in off the web. Picking and installing speech recognition package. There are multiple speech recognition models available which all provide different functionalities. Some of the commonly used packages are APIA, I hope I said that right, include natural language processing for identifying speakers' intent. Google Cloud Speech offers basic speech-to-text conversion. Speech recognition offers easy audio processing and microphone accessibility. We will work with speech recognition due to its ease of use. It can be installed by running the following command, pip install speech recognition. So the first thing is working with audio files. And when we talk about audio files, it's stored, this is kind of a nice thing because you can see an image that has a timeline and then it has values as far as the what the sound is doing in there, and depends on channels. You can see over here how to cut audio files where they show the different channels in different colors. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in an audio file with the values, depending on how many channels you have. So if you have 16 channels, that means every point on this line is like a frame. It might be 0.1 of a second, and then you'll have 16 values. And the height, the total height, that's what you're looking at here, is all those different values. And you can see here they kind of break it up into like, I think this is just the volume on this little image. This is just a simple search for audio files, images, nothing fancy. And that's what's going on, is you have these different channels and different values. We really don't normally dig into looking at the actual values unless you're displaying it. Other than seeing the total amount of volume coming out of a microphone, we really don't care a whole lot because we want to hear it. We want to hear what's going on. And then there's working with a microphone. And, you really, again, when you're working in Python, as of now, it's very hard to do both video and a microphone input at the same time. So a lot of times you'll see the sound file and the image file separated, the camera coming in. You do your work on them separately and then you put them back together. And so we're talking about a microphone. Like my computer, I have all my USB jacks. I have 2 web cameras. Both web cameras have their own microphone. One of my monitors has its own microphone. I have 3 monitors. Then I have my actual microphone I'm using, which is jacked in there, which has a little bit better sound quality. And so you really want to set your microphone, whatever your default is. Most of these programs right now go for the default microphone. There is ways to work around that, but when you're working in specifically Windows, it can get a little challenging to tell Windows which microphone you're using. It's not the biggest challenge, but you got to be aware of that. So we're going to start with our basic speech-to-text demo. And before we dive into the demo, we're actually going to do 3 demos. And we'll breeze through the second 2 because they're based on the first one. They create, one is guess a word, and the other one's going to be open a URL. And we'll be in our, I use Anaconda by default. Certainly you can use PyCharm. In all of these, you do have to be aware that sometimes your closed environment, or if you're running it on your computer, might need some extra packages or something like that. Most of these are pretty straightforward. And we'll go ahead, let me go ahead and open up Jupyter Notebook. Here we go. And I actually meant Anaconda and then Jupyter Notebook. I'm in Python 3.8. This will work, I believe it goes all the way back to 3.4 for the speech recognition. And currently there's like a 3.9, I think even a 3.10 beta. I'm in 3.8 because a lot of the work I do does not work on 3.9. And we'll go ahead and click the launch on Jupyter Notebook, which opens our Jupyter Notebook. And in here we'll start a new Python 3. And then sometimes I don't know how important it is to rename it, but we'll go ahead and rename it speech to text, because that's what we're going to be working on. We'll go ahead and rename that. File already exists. Oh, I guess we'll call this speech. That's because they sent me the demo. Just like any good cook, you want to prepare everything in the back before you do these demos and make sure that they run correctly. And let's go ahead and import our speech recognition as SR. That's common. SR is a common abbreviation if you ever go do a search for speech recognition tutorials and examples. It's always going to come up if they use SR. And we're also going to import PyText, Py2Text3. This converts it from the because we're going to take sound in from our microphone, and then we're going to try to read it back to us. And so that's part of that package in reading it back, is we want to be able to hear it. And you can see up here, here's the pip install speech recognition, and the pip install Py2Text3. Make sure you have these installed or they're not going to run. And we need to go ahead and import those packages. And the first thing we want to do is go ahead and initiate our recognition part of the software. And so we'll do an R equals SR recognizer. Very straightforward. This is the base setup you want for this. And so R is going to be our main recording, and all our different functionality is coming in from there. And we'll go ahead and create a little function here, speak text. So this is our own function, and whatever we put in here, we want it to say it back to us. That's all this is doing. And here's our engine we're going to use for our speech, which is the initialization of the Py2Text3. And then we simply have it say the command and then run and wait. So this is going to go through and just say back whatever we send to it in text on there. And let's go ahead and run that. We can actually test this. This is kind of fun. Let's go speak text, the old hello world. And if we run this, hopefully you can hear it from my speakers. Oops, made a mistake there. Forgot to capitalize. Like any good programmer, it's easy to forget that. Let's try that again with speak text. Hello world. When I'm developing small routines,
hello world.
There you go, I said it. Hello world. It works. I do a lot of little quick tests like this on each of the functions I'm working with. It's so easy to get ahead of yourself, and then you have to go back and find the error from like 15, 16 lines before. So, just a quick trick, quick way to test things out as you're going. And the first thing we want to go ahead and do is we're going to use our microphone as a source for the input. So with SR microphone, here it is tapping the microphone. Which microphone is it? It's whatever you have set underneath your sound. So if I go underneath my sound setup, and we start looking at that, we can start looking to see where the microphone is underneath the system settings. You can mess with that and change it. Right off the bat, though, it's good to just leave it as a base if you're just playing with this for the first time. And then the next thing, and this is kind of important, and you can do this manually with the speech recognition on there, is your microphone doesn't have a noise cancellation on it by default. What that means is if my air conditioner is running in the background, you're going to hear this loud background noise, and if I stop speaking or I try to have any cue on here, because we're going to let this auto stop itself. You can set it for, you can actually set a duration, which we did here for doing ambient noise. This is 2 seconds. Or you can let it know when you stop talking. You can think of any of your Alexa, Google Voice, any of those. They wait for a pause in the sound, and that's one of the things they can do, and then they also have a duration on there. That's what this is. We're just going to record the ambient noise and say, hey, let's be quiet for a couple seconds, and then once we've been quiet for a couple of seconds, then we'll go ahead and pick things up. And we'll go ahead and just run this to make sure we don't get any errors. And so you can see right here, right, and I got little cues on here. Silence please, calibrating background noise. Calibrate it, speak now. That way we know what's going on. Always good to give yourself cues there. So that's the first thing, is we want to go ahead and set our our microphone and look for the ambient noise. So it'll filter out the ambient noise. And then we want to actually just listen. Listen for user's input. And we're going to call the variable that we're putting this data in as audio2. And that's going to be our listen source 2. And once we listen, and it will stop once it gets to a silent point, oops, we'll go ahead and do mytext.r recognize Google. And this is important because this is using the Google package. One of the really cool things about data science nowadays and doing all these different processing is that we can now use other tools instead of having to start off with trying to figure out how to transfer people's voices into data for one hot encoder. You can now do this and run your audio file through there. In this case, it's you'd have to look up the actual audio files and what they accept and everything. But we're just going to dump the audio file in there, and we're going to see if it recognizes what's going on. So let's go ahead and run this. Whoops! Before we run it, I better print out the output, otherwise we'll never see what's going on. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. Now that it's calibrated, does it work? And you can see right here, did you say, now that it's calibrated, does it work? And so we have transferred our microphone into our computer into text. And just because it's fun, we want to go ahead and use our little module we put together called Speak Text. And we're just going to dump the my text into that. And let's go ahead and run that. Welcome to Simplilearn. Get certified, get ahead.
Welcome to Simpler, get certified, get ahead.
It almost had it there. That's kind of funny. Welcome to Simpler. Didn't quite get the Simplilearn part, but that's okay. That is part of the joys of working with data science, is we're always on the cutting edge trying to learn something new. Now, we had speech to text. What we want to go ahead and do next is have a little fun with this. What I'd like to do in this demo is we'll use speech recognition to directly open a website in Google. We will say the website URL and it will automatically open. And you can see here we're going to use just facebook.com or any other setup going into the mic. Our recognition is going to look for it, and then it's going to feed that into opening up a new web browser. And in our Jupyter Notebook, we'll close out of this. Cancel. I will probably never use this again since I have the original, but we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll do a new Python. And from here we'll do our imports. Here's our speech recognizer as SR and our web browser as web. And this is just opening up a web browser in there so that we have a way of actually looking at stuff in here. And let's create our main definition. There we go. I don't know why they had it as a def in there. They must have been in a rush. So the first thing we want to do is make sure we're running this as the main program, and that's all this does up here. A lot of times you'll get error on some of these because they're threading, or they're doing, sometimes it's a thread, sometimes it's a multi-process in the back. If it is opening up this particular setup and you're not pulling it from a main program, it's going to crash. And so that's what you want to put that in there in a lot of these different codes where we start getting into microphones, videos, any of these external sources. You really want to have me do it as a multi-process, and it's all hidden in the back so you don't have to worry about it. But if you do mess with it, you start to realize that each one of those is a huge resource. And if you have them all running on the same thread, all of a sudden you get lag and all kinds of stuff. And so a lot of these already have that built in. And so here's our R again, R value, and then we're going to do with the SR microphone as the source. A lot of this should look familiar right about now, because this is what we just did in here, is putting this together. And here's our SR microphone. We're going to adjust for the ambient noise. I'm going to let it automatically adjust for the ambient noise there. Clearly you can do a lot of different things on that, but in this case we just want to let it auto adjust. And then we'll go ahead and create our audio, and this will start to look, not so complicated. It's really easy to pull a sound recording in off your microphone. And so we're just going to do our audio. We're going to listen to the source. We're going to do print. Hey, we're now translating your source into something we can use. And so when we take that audio, we translate it into something we can use, and it's gone through the recognition. Then we want to try, oops, here we go. Here's a recognize Google. I jumped ahead. So recognizing now, we want to go ahead and recognize it through the Google translation. We're going to print the destination up here so you can see it, and then we're just going to open up the web page. And then if there's an error, we want to go ahead and throw an error down here. This try and accept is pretty important, because when you start messing with these things, you'll find like web paths and the path is messed up, or all kinds of different things can happen on there. Let's go ahead and run this, and let's see if we can open up the Facebook just like we had in the demo. www.facebook.com. Oh, and look at that. I don't have my login built into the saved, so it's prompting me for the login. But there we go. We're on facebook.com. All that just done by vocal through our microphone. Real powerful tool there. And we'll do one more demo just in case you wanted to play a little game on there to give you some ideas of different things you can do with this. Here's our import. We're going to throw in random and time, just so we have a little randomness there as far as looking for a word or whatever. And then we'll go ahead and create the actual recognize speech from mic part of the program. Let's go ahead and put that in there. There's a lot bundled in here, but it's nothing really new. The first thing is it returns a dictionary with 3 keys: success, error, transcription none. That's if it could not be transcribed. So it might be that just picked up jarble and sent out an error. So those are the 3 things we're looking for when we do the speech recognition, is whether it worked, it has an error, or just has garbage in it. And then we're going to check that the recognizer and the microphone arguments are the appropriate type, because we're sending over here a recognizer, which is our sr.recognizer, and then an SR microphone, which will go to the default microphone. And then if it is instance of a recognizer of SR recognizer, then we raise an error if it's not. And the same thing with the microphone. Again, this is common not troubleshooting, but development of a lot of these programs is we want to make sure that if something's wrong, then we can just push it back an error on there. And that saves, like if you're doing a major development. If I'm just playing with this, I probably would leave this stuff out unless I'm playing with it because I am trying to put together a major program. But that works out pretty good. And then here's where our key is. This is where whatever's going on, this is our main stuff. And we have with our microphone as the source, we're going to use the recognizer adjust for ambient noise. That should look familiar. And then our audio is just going to listen for it. So it's going to listen for the guess. And then we're going to set up our response object. If you remember from up here, we said we're going to send back, and this is just a dictionary, success, error, transcription. And it's going to come down here and it's going to try the response of the transcription equals recognizer Google Audio. Exception, if there's a error on this, then the success equals false. Response error equals API unavailable. And then, of course, if you're unknown error, then also error unavailable, return response. So all this is just bundling this answer into a thing saying, hey, we messed up or we didn't. The real key here in all of this is that we're doing the same thing we did before, which is we're creating a audio setup right here, which listens to the source and returns the actual audio on there, on the response. And let's go ahead and run that. There we go. And then with any of these, if you remember last time we talked about it, it's going to look for the main. And in the main, we want to go ahead and create our instructions and our basic setup in the main. Let me go ahead and do that. Of course, you don't have to have these separated by cells. If you're in PyCharm, it'd just be a single setup on there. That's a Jupyter Notebook thing that just makes it easier for troubleshooting. And so we're going to set it up with our words. You could swap this for any words you want. You could swap this for all kinds of really cool things to see if you can identify it. You could think of this as if you have your computer hooked up to a drone. You might be able to tell it turn left, turn right, or something along those lines, and then those commands would go through, just like we did with the access the web page. In this case, we're going to create a list of words. We have our prompt limit, we have our recognizer, here's our microphone, and our recognizer, SR recognizer, SR microphone. This is the word we're going to guess, just a random, that's why we imported random up above. Good to have instructions, format words, and so on. And if I run this, this doesn't actually do anything yet. It just gives off the instructions. And then it's going to sleep for 3 seconds. When you're putting together code, it's a good idea to give instructions so that people know what's going on, and then give them a moment to read it. That's always a good thing in these codes. Sometimes when we're testing them, we forget that, or we forget the little things that make a big difference when it comes out and is released. And then let's put the main piece of the code together here. So we want to go ahead and give you, in this case they're doing what did we do, 3 guesses. So number of guesses for I in range of 3 guesses. And then if there's like a mess up, we want to catch it and give you another try. And if it succeeds, we want to see if you got the right answer. And so we're going to do a prompt limit. I think the prompt limit, I forget what they set it to, 5 or something up here. There it is, prompt limit 5. It's going to give you 5 tries to get a working guess. So if I slur my words and I'm like, instead of saying banana, I say brrr, it's going to come back and say, I didn't recognize that, try again. So print your guess, your speak, and your format, that's what all this is. And right here is the key. This is our guess, this is the function we created earlier, and we send it the recognizer and the microphone. And it says if guess transcription, so if the transcription is false, break. If not, guess is success, break. Print, I didn't catch what you did, say again. So if either the transcription comes up as false where it failed, or the guess doesn't make sense, it's going to loop through here 5 times and then kick you out at that point. And then it comes down here, and let's say you try all 5 times, you get 5 errors, then it's going to come up and say, hey, there was an error, let's kick that out. So that's some general programming ways of catching errors and catching guesses and things like that. This is so common when you're having a website with passwords and all kinds of fun stuff that comes up. And then we want to show the user the transcript. You said, that way you can see what it tells you said. And then your guess is correct. User has more attempts. Or if it guess is correct equals, does it equal the word lowercase? Both of these you want to remember to convert to lowercase. And then if it's not correct, we have so many more guesses. If guess is correct, print correct. You win. Format, word. Yay, you won. And if it's incorrect, try again. And then if you've gone through all of your guesses, you want to go ahead and just say, sorry, you lose. Game over. Let's go ahead and play it, just see how it turns out. And of course, any of these codes, remember you can send a note to the if you're on YouTube watching this, you can go through that channel and send Simplilearn a note, and they can send you copies of some of this stuff, give you something to play with. Let's go banana. Orange. Oh, look at that. I won. Yay. 2 tries to guess orange. So a little fun there, a little game you can throw together. Again, we looked at some of the key elements here is our recognizer and our microphone. And then we go up to the def. Our audio is going to go ahead and we need to go ahead and adjust for ambient noise. And then we just dump it all in there and let the audio take over and it listens for the answer. Just a really great little fun little set of script on there. Thank you for joining us on speech recognition with Simplilearn. For more information, please visit www.simplilearn.com. Get certified, get ahead.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.